All right then, let's do this. Let me just get all my details. There we go, details, got them. Right then. Hello and welcome to the Replimat, a regular chatcast in which two nerds go through Star Trek DS9 in episode order, which is the obvious way to do it. I occasionally go for Doctor Who too, but today it's Deep Space Nine. The two nerds in question are me, Andy, a very seasoned fan, and over there,
Me, Tim, a newbie. Well,
a newbie.
started out as a newbie.
Less newbie now.
Yeah.
He's like like a piece of meat. He's been seasoned generally. Pardon me. Anyway,
Generally seasoned newbie. Yes.
Yes. Today we are going to be talking about episode 18 of season 2 of DS9, Profit and Loss, written by Flip Cobbler and Cindy Marcus, directed by Robert Weimer or Weimer, who knows, and first transmitted on the 20th of March 1994. So,
gosh,
Tim,
Andy,
do we dare ask, what did you think of this one?
I really like this episode, and actually at the beginning, I was thinking it seems ages since since we last watched some Deep Space Nine. It would have been, but it would only have been Christmas, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But I suppose because we're in
2
that.
weeks ago, though.
Yeah, we're in that kind of awkward position where January. It seems like it's ages ago, and January just goes on for ages and ages because of the whole Christmas break. So it seems like it was flipping ages ago, but actually it was probably only about two or 3 weeks. So, this was a very interesting episode. I did genuinely really enjoy sort of digging and delving a little bit more into Quark's. I was going to say Quark's makeup, but that's that's probably not quite. It's true, although there was a bit of sharing of makeup when there was some kissing of characters going on. But yeah, just what makes Quark what he is, and one of the wonderful things is that he. Or the character consistently surprises. You think you've got the measure of him, and there have been plenty of episodes up to now where it was they do sort of suggest that the Ferengi are potentially quite two-dimensional, and we kind of know what to expect from them and their habits and the way they operate. And then you get an episode like this, and it's like, and it doesn't feel like, ooh, they're just, they're doing something that's completely uncharacteristic with Quark. It still feels natural for him, so that's probably because of it's Armin Shimmerman, isn't it? The actor, a lot of it's will be down to his performance, but also the writing and the directing as well. And just it was there. It was a very surprising and enlightening episode. And also, as I mentioned to you along the way, just getting a bit more from Garak as well. That's not just him having a Raktajina or whatever it is with Bashir in the Replimat, and having some kind of sort of oblique conversation, just the way that he has so far. Actually, to see him get more involved, but still retain that kind of overarching air of mystery.
Can I hit you with a bit of Trek trivia?
You can hit me with some Trek trivia. Yeah, go on then.
Okay, this is relevant to what you're just saying about Quark in particular. Right
Yep.
now, Ira Steven Bear, he's a co-executive producer, so he's not quite the showrunner yet, but he soon will be.
Yeah.
Apparently dislikes this episode because he feels that Quark comes across as too heroic. Um, he put it, I felt we didn't need another tough, sexy, swashbuckling character on the show. We've had enough of those. We needed more offbeat, interesting characters. It should have been Beauty and the Beast or Woody Allen and every woman he's ever been with in the films. You don't take Woody Allen and make him into a Bogart. You have Bogart telling Woody Allen how to behave, but he does it through his Woody Allen persona. The seasons of Quark drove me mad. So, you loved
Oh,
it.
fair enough. Oh well, what does he know?
But the producer, well, he's the Ferengi guy apparently. He writes most of the Ferengi episodes going forward anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
Mostly because obviously he watched this and he thought, no, Quark's far too heroic. He needs to be more shady. But no, I actually agree with you. I think this facet of Quark, although we may not see it again, I guess maybe.
Yeah, so I'm kind of
I liked
I'm
it.
under no illusion that the next episode we're going to find, as of now we're going to find a pining, love struck Quark. He'll be
Yeah.
back to his usual self, next week. But we've got this in our memory now. Is it part of his makeup, as it were? So
Well, we'll see. Along the way, we will see kind of this side to him again in a different way.
fair enough.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe somewhere down the line, Iris doing Bear kind of try to find a better way of doing it for him because apparently, and I can kind of see it now actually, especially in his comments. This episode was apparently quite inspired by and resembled deliberately Casablanca. Did you spot that?
Well, um,
Have you seen Casablanca? Of course.
yes, I have seen Casablanca. I've seen Casablanca several times. Yes, I can kind of see that. It's yeah, yeah, uh, yeah, I
Well,
can see it.
apparently, okay. Apparently, originally this episode was called "Here's Looking at You."
Okay, that would have
Subtle.
made it
Um,
very, very
but
obvious.
yeah, but apparently they decided to change the more obvious references to the film as well as title to avoid potential legal problems. So, when I first saw this, I had not seen Casablanca. I've only seen that relatively recently.
Yeah,
And having read that before we watched the episode, I'm thinking, okay, let's consider. And I'm like, yeah, I can sort of see where they're going. Actually, I can see the parallels, I guess. But
yes,
yeah, but you also get all this wonderful stuff with as you say, Garrick, which as I said during watching of this, there's a lot going on in this episode. There's a lot of layers, a lot of moving parts in this
yeah.
episode, which is a nice change. Dear viewer, if I'm sound croaky, it's because I've got a cold, FYI, because I can actually hear my voice.
Yes.
But this is
Please have
better
some
than it has been
sympathetic
all week.
comments beneath.
I mean, yes, please. Seriously, on Tuesday or Wednesday, one of the two, I came in and I'm like, I'm trying to call him like, yes, then, yeah, can you call him for me? So this is good side of me at the moment this week. But yeah, loads of moving parts, and I think it works. I like it feels almost serialized DS9, even though a lot of this is only for this episode. There's enough layers and enough threads of stuff that have been set up in from a character point of view, at least, if not necessarily
Yeah.
a plot point of view. And I think, yeah, you get a real. I don't know. This again, people keep saying that season 1 and 2 are not great, but you've got episodes like this, and they're like, "Why do you say that?" But I'm not seeing it. I mean, we've had a few, as you know, for yourself, and you had a little dip
Yeah, there was that kind of
in the middle.
patch in the
But
middle part of series 2 where I just I was wanting to really be impressed again, But yeah, the last couple have really picked up that. And you're right. It felt like an episode that was part of an ongoing serial. So although it was a story in itself, and obviously now you mentioned the Casablanca thing, there's a lot of it clicking into place in my head. I think knowing that in advance wouldn't have improved my enjoyment of the episode at all. Knowing it afterwards, I'm quite enjoying just clicking those bits into place. I'm glad they didn't do any really obvious stuff like, shut up. I'm glad they didn't do any obvious stuff like saying, of all the space stations in all the galaxy, you had to wander into mine or whatever, just because that would have been a bit. But
Quark. Yeah.
But again, Rom.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah.
But just it was a nice self-contained story, just an A plot this time, wasn't it? Just no B's and C's. But yeah, just took us on a little journey with those characters.
I think you kind of did. I think you kind of had some. I mean, it was all about the A plot.
Yeah, so it's all about you've got the what's going on with the Kardashians in the background. But
you've got Lang and that. But there's lots of subplots, I suppose, in this case, not A and B's, but just subplots of Quark's own subplot about the cloaking device and all this stuff, and Odo, of course, trying to catch him on that again, and Garrett's own thing with not just his involvement with the main story, but what's going on with him personally, and him like, oh, this may be a way for me to get back to Cardassia. So there's lots of subplots, I think.
Yes.
I mean, lots of story, really, isn't it?
It is, it is.
It's a very layered episode. So much going on.
Yeah.
And all the regulars get their little beats, but it's, mostly Quark, Odo, and Garak, really.
Yeah.
Which is lovely, actually. And of course, you said during watching it, thinking of the regulars, we got this great scene between Quark and Sisko. Was it Quark and Sisko or Garak and Sisko? Garak and Sisko, sorry.
The Garak and Sisko one. So, and there's you got Garak and Sisko, and then you got Quark and Odo. They're both great two-hander scenes. So Quark gets his lobes felt far too often for my liking in this episode.
Watching
that goodbye scene,
the goodbye scene where she does the whole thing with his lobes. And Tim's all like,
it's just, we know what that's doing.
And as I said to Tim, of course, once you know what that means, then you're something like, everything you see that, you're like, as I said, during that goodbye scene, that's basically her reaching into his trousers if he's a human and, having a bit of a fiddle before saying goodbye.
Exactly.
While people are watching. It's a weird old thing. It's a weird old thing that they decided to make a thing in Star Trek.
But,
I don't know. No, Garrick probably wasn't. He's probably there going, I would. Not me. I mean, that's what Garrick was thinking. I have no intention of rubbing Quark's lobes.
So I'm trying to think if there's an awful lot more to say there. I suppose the two the two sort of political fugitives, the Cardassian fugitives. I can't even remember their names now. We've only just watched the bloody thing. They were they just fulfilled the purpose. There was nothing particularly outstanding or about them. It's more about what they represent than they weren't really given.
I think the female one does a good job.
Yeah, but they weren't. There was no. There was no sort of like grandstand scene where they can
and they didn't have any threads
put forward their. Yeah,
they were just, as you say, they were plot devices, weren't they? Really, just to move.
We don't know what.
Through.
we don't know what their specific socio-political angle is or anything like that. The episode either didn't need to go into that or chose not to kind of mire itself in those kind of arguments. So I suppose now we're in that position of we know that there's something going on in the background within the Cardassian Empire, but we don't know at this point what what that looks like, and it could just be that the writers or the overall kind of storyline for the series didn't know at this point or didn't want to reveal at this point. If there's a wider storyline around it, so they allude to something.
I can
don't
say
have
not
to lay it on the line.
I can say this without giving stuff away. Yeah, without giving stuff away, the whole Cardassia revolution and change of its own geopolitical landscape is definitely an ongoing thing on DS9. You will definitely hear much, much more about it. And this is, I think they've kind of alluded to it a little bit previously, but this is just a little bit more of things are changing. Things are shifting over there since they withdrew from Bajor. And with some big changes coming up in season 3 in particular, this is just I think a nice little seed. Obviously, how it goes. Well, I was going to say, it goes on DS9. In Star Trek, you don't generally get repeat plot points, but on DS9, obviously, you often do.
Yes,
I
don't recall. Setting.
Yeah, I don't recall whether these characters are mentioned again. They maybe. I can't remember, but I certainly don't think they ever reappear, which is a shame because obviously there's definitely a potential to go back to. Although the goodbye was deliberately made to be quite final.
Yeah. So.
Oh, can I hit you with another bit of fun Trek trivia while we ponder our next points?
Go on.
Okay. On this day in Trek, I'm going to try and find some of these, but interesting ones. And the only one I found that was actually interesting for what we're talking about is on this very day, on the 13th of January, 1994, 30 years ago today, the final draft script of this particular episode was submitted.
What?
How wild is that? I know.
So,
how wild is that?
So it was the final draft script was only submitted 2 months before it was broadcast. They were running right
on the day we're watching it.
Yeah, but that means they were running right. They were running right up to the wire on shooting and editing and post production and stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's
Star Trek. It's like I guess it's just TV, isn't it? Doctor Who. 26. 26, I think. So we're nearing the end anyway.
Do you know how long it used to take them to shoot one of these episodes? A week?
A week, basically, yeah. They do a week, and then obviously the post-production people work on it while they're shooting the next episode. Kind of like Doctor Who, isn't it, I suppose, really? Doctor Who and just TV, Doctor Who, and,
In terms of post for this, what have you got? You got some model shots. You got some phaser rays. There's not much. You haven't got any Odo shape shifting. Oh, that was a lovely moment. Quark just checking to make sure that Odo wasn't in. And when they were in the bar, he's just checking.
Imagine that
Odo wasn't at the table, or in the finger in the drink.
Okay, that makes me wonder. Because he checks everything, as you say, and then he dips his hand in the cup to make sure the liquid's not Odo and goes. But what if it had been Odo? Would then Odo dribble back out of his mouth into the cup? Yeah, it makes you wonder, right? I mean, this is a nice visual for you. Like, sorry, Odo.
I'm sure I want to know what Odo tastes like. So, brilliant. That was a nice moment. So,
like treacle.
All right, treacle.
All right, treacle. All right, one of the
Treacle.
cobblers.
Hello, treacle. All sorts of
See,
wrong.
I have to say, viewers, for American viewers in particular, um, when Tim saw the co-writer's name on the credits, whatever it was, Cobbler, he's just like,
Flick.
"Oh, I'm so glad you're doing this." Flip, yeah,
Flip. Okay.
Flip Cobbler. He goes, "I am so glad you're reading this one today, not me," because of course, in the UK, Cobbler has lots of meanings, which I'm almost certain would
It's a
not have
person that
in the
makes shoes,
US.
isn't it?
Well, there's
Person that
that
makes shoes.
too,
It's
but
also
there's also
it's a food
a lot
dish.
of cobblers. Mm-hmm.
Cobblers. Well, yeah. Yeah, I'm
Cobblers means
assuming a
rubbish.
load of old cobblers must refer to the shoemaker, but it's cobblers, and then there probably should be something else after that that's gone in the mists of time.
Well, oh,
A load of
yeah, because
cobblers.
the
Yeah,
connotation of a lot of our cobblers suggests rubbish, nonsense.
yeah.
So I wonder where that did come from. I said I have to look it up, but I know I won't. But yes, over here it's got all kinds of meanings where stateside is just a name. It's like in Buffy. At the end of most
Right.
episodes, one of the guys who does the music or something is I forget his first name, but his surname is Vanker. However, it is spelled Wanker. Yeah.
All right.
And every time I watch that, even to this day, I'm like, oh dear.
Oh,
Well, I assume it's pronounced
yeah, but
Vanker. It may well not
I've
be.
seen it pronounced. Yeah, but I've seen it pronounced wanker as well. There's I think I'm sure I've seen something where people said, "Oh, it's a reasonably common surname." But so also
It's over here.
bollocks, bollocks
Which
as
one?
well. There's
Bollocks.
bollocks.
Mm.
There's the whole episode of Lost in Space, the old Lost in Space, where the Robinsons and Doctor Smith, the really kind of arch camp going.
Yeah.
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 They're all there's like a compilation of every time they say, "Oh, Officer Bollocks." In this episode, it's on YouTube. Lost in Space,
Nice.
Officer Bollocks.
Nice. Nice. Yeah,
Just
you wouldn't
because of
get that
them
over
saying,
here. It reminds me of another
"Oh, Officer
episode
Bollocks."
of not Buffy but an Angel, where you got Wesley, who's supposed to be this British guy, played by American, obviously.
Yeah.
And again, the writers, you know how it goes. They're trying to make it sound authentic British, right? Well, he's quite upper class, so he probably wouldn't have used this anyway. But there's this whole bit where Angel's got to get on the back of a bike, and the only helmet's left is a pink helmet, right? And Angel's like, not wanting to wear, and Wesley goes, "Oh, come on, stop being such a wanker and put it on." And you're like, I can see what you're trying to do, but because what's his name, Alexis Denisov, his accent as Wesley's not bad, but it's clear he's not really British, so it doesn't quite work because, again, English words, when you pronounce them, it's not just about the accent, it's about how you pronounce the word too, of course. And
Yes.
wanker, it's not really how we pronounce it, you know what I mean? But yeah. But anyway, we're talking about not Star Trek again, sorry.
Indeed.
Well, it's one of those episodes we really liked, so you know how it goes.
Yeah.
We have nothing to say. We liked
I
it.
don't think if there are any other kind of observations from it, because
Well,
I mean,
I like in particular that still, despite, because Garrett, now we're near into this stage where Garrett's becoming a nice bit of a semi-regular, which is something this show's doing really well, building up the extended cast. We still don't know his background. Despite the hints and the information given this episode, we still have no absolute definite yes or no's, which I think
we don't. And yeah, that was a point I was going to make back at the beginning. Actually, the fact he's in this so much more, and we have almost the illusion of having entered his life, considerably more than we have thus far. And still at the end of it, he walks out of the room having not revealed anything
Not really, no.
much at all.
Well, we know he has got a very complicated past on Cardassia. It could be this, could be that, could be none of it at all.
I mean, we still don't know what his relationship is with. Was it the Central Committee? Was that who?
Sorry, and I'm eating a souvenir now, trying to clear the throat a bit. Central Command.
Central Command, yes.
Yeah.
So obviously he has some contact there, because there was contact, during the background during this episode, but we don't know what.
You get a sense that he did have quite some sway once. He definitely had some influence once upon a time. The fact that he's a tailor, he kind of, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good parallel to him, really, but I can't really think of.
Goal, was it Tehran? Tehran,
I think this time, yeah. Got
so you got he obviously dismisses Garak as something of a has been or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just it's that's another real positive to this episode. The fact that you think, oh yeah, we got to see so much more of Garak, and we got to learn so much more about him. And at the end, you think, actually, no, we know very, very little, and that's incredibly good writing.
Yeah, and you'd be very pleased to know we have another episode coming up this season, I think, towards the end, called The Wire, which is a Garak episode.
Oh, okay.
And again, I'm not going to tell you what, but
yeah,
more of, are we that much closer? Are we that much closer? But I think that's great, because you have most characters in TV shows, after, in this case, almost 50 episodes in, or certainly 40 plus, you would usually have a fairly good sense of who they are. I mean, you can get a sense of who Garak is in the now, and probably how to write him, and the sort of things he would say and do and whatever. But I mean, you do not have a sense of who he was, I should say, more than who he is, I guess.
No, you can't.
All the other characters, you kind of know where they've come from.
Yeah.
Categorically, you know where Kira came from. You know what Dax come from. Although there's still, stuff to learn, you know essentially where these people came from. But Garak, still not.
You still don't know what's going on behind those eyes. Yeah, his eyes are telling. His eyes are kind of hiding. What's there in his head.
Well, I think that's a testament to
his words say different things.
I think not only is that a testament to the good writing of this episode and the season or the series generally, but it's also a great testament to Andrew Robinson, who plays him, because the actor says he loves playing Garak because of the subtext. And it's all subtext with Garak. You never get anything. It's all what's going underneath. And he says, as an actor, it's great to have that to play with, whereas usually when you're an actor, you're playing the character that's on the paper, so you know what you got to do. But here he's able to just amazingly clever as well, that he can throw so much layer in his performance that you even just physically you watch him like, oh, I can't get a hook on him. And I think that's just amazing acting as well.
It is, and if I was playing that role, I think I would want to know. I would need to know for myself what the subtext were, what the character's background was, so that I could give the right messages.
Yeah, I think in this case,
sure this they do.
Well, no, I don't think they ever do, frankly, because again, I don't want to give spoilers on such a frankly important character in the series, which is odd considering he only had one guest spot in season 1. That I assume, actually I'm pretty sure, Robinson, in his head, he has decided who and what Garrick is and what he had done. He actually wrote a book, Stitch in Time, I think it's called, because obviously Taylor, which is basically all about Garrick's life after DS9 ends, plus lots about his past, based on what we learned by the end of the series. I've never read it, but I do know that they've recently released it as an audiobook with Robinson actually reading it, by the way, people. So maybe worth watching, checking out. Obviously, Tim ain't allowed to, because if he does, I expect loads of spoilers in it.
Yeah, I won't be listening to it.
Can you imagine? But yeah, it's just phenomenal acting. Frankly, I think I mentioned it to you before. The actor, you've seen Dirty Harry, right?
Sorry,
Dirty Harry.
Oh yes, sorry, Dirty Harry. Yes.
Yeah, he played he was the main killer dude in that Callahan was checking down at the end, the one who went, "Punk, do you feel lucky?" Blah, blah, blah. That was him being shot at the end. And he's been in lots of other stuff. It's always fun when he turns up, because he looks, I mean, now he looks very different, but when he was younger, he looks nothing like you expect him to look. It's weird, isn't it? Because you see people in makeup, like in DS9, and it's hard to get a sense of their facial structure.
Yes, because you've got all the ridges and the kind of thing going on.
Well, yeah, we were saying, weren't we, that in this episode, the makeup's just so good. Like on Garrick, even more so than most Cardassians, you've got like the veins on there, which kind of work from all the stress and whatever else he's clearly going through, that there's just constant veins there now. But it's very good. I think I mentioned that that thing they're supposed to be like, they call it a spoon. Because Michael Westmore, I believe it was just somebody just put like that on his head one day, just joking, and he's like, "Oh, actually, I could use that," and so that's what that little thing became. Hence why I believe it actually ends up within the context of Star Trek at some point that it becomes a racial slur, calling them spoonheads. I feel sure. Yeah, I think that's a thing that comes up at some point. But anyway, you were saying, sorry.
I was just gonna, again, I probably said it in other episodes as well, where it's just you say Andrew Robinson. Do you say the actor's name?
Yeah.
It's such a charismatic, engaging performance. It's you're automatically drawn to him.
Yeah.
It's considering what he's not got lots to play with.
Not to interrupt you, but although Tim doesn't see it, because when we're recording, you can only see that much of our screen.
Yes.
Only when people are watching us back and you watching it back, I actually have the episode playing on my TV in the corner there. And Garrick is actually on screen right now talking to Carl, what's his face.
So, drawn to him, yes.
With the
it's considering what he's got to play with. Like you said, obviously there's all the subtext and stuff. It is it's a very charismatic, engaging performance.
Very. I think this show generally, so far, the only actor I can think of that they haven't cast well, not in a recurring, even a guest character, the only one I can think of that didn't work for me at all and still doesn't, no matter what, I mean, I watched it, was in Rivals. Chris Sarandon, who played that dude with the gambling device, what's it thing? Do you remember that one? Oh, no, not one of your favourite episodes. Yeah. But he's one of the very few casting choices in this series where I'm like, it just didn't work. I mean, maybe it would have worked if they'd actually had the ball to make him Guinan's son, Whoopi Goldberg's son, because then it would have been different casting anyway, I assume. But this show generally casts so well. I mean, the regulars are all pretty much top tier, really, in what they do. And the supporting cast become the regular supporting cast. Because obviously we got... Who are the regulars we've got now? Or the same regulars we've got now. We've got Rom, Nog, Garrick, obviously. who else is often about?
There's what's the guy who doesn't speak, but he's
I was
based on
about
the
to say,
guy from
yeah,
Cheers.
Morn. Yeah, Morn. He's always there in the background of Quarks.
Yeah.
Who else we got recurring at the moment? Is that really? Oh, Keiko.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, I know we tried not to talk about Keiko, but since I brought her up, I recently discovered, although this could be apocryphal because people do misremember things, but according to Nana Visitor in a recent interview I listened to, she said that originally Rosalind Chow was offered a full-time contract for the show as a regular, as well as O'Brien,
Okay.
but she chose not to because she was doing other stuff too. Which kind of goes contrary to the story I've always heard. I was going to say been told then, but I wasn't told it. The story I always heard, which I've mentioned to you a few times, that the producers are just never sure what to do with her as a character.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, well, those don't really fit. Because if they were going to offer her full time, then they must have had some idea of what to do with her. Or maybe it could be that the producer who took over later just didn't know what to do with her. But if she'd been established by that point, it's a shame. I mean, again, I know it's not a Keiko episode, and we have mentioned this before, but if I don't mention it now, we'll probably forget it when we get to the next Keiko episode because she's bound to not turn up for ages. I'm because we remember you mentioned this last time she was on screen, what they could do with her to show the non-Starfleet side of things a bit more. From a human point of view, because the non-Starfleet characters in this are not humans. All the humans in this cast are, obviously the actors are human. I mean, the characters are all human, or Starfleet rather.
Yes.
But yeah, it makes you wonder if she had been cast full time, if this is true, then what would they have done
she's
with her as a
tends to be a lot
character?
better with. She tends to be a lot better with the other characters.
Non-characters that aren't right. Yeah. So I wonder what would they have done? How would they have used her full time had she came on board? It's a shame because there's an angle that could have been worth exploring, but didn't happen.
Maybe.
But yeah, sorry. Just on the side, how did I get onto Keiko? Oh yeah, supporting cast. Yeah, but yeah.
There we go. Cool.
There we go.
Well,
This is one of those we don't have a lot to talk about episodes, isn't it?
Well, we've waffled on for a while anyway, I think. But just generally,
40 minutes.
A very enjoyable, engaging episode. Not earth shattering, not groundbreaking, as it were, but just just had a job to do and just did it very, very well. I think
so too.
Yeah, so kind of, I suppose that's my hot take on the episode, really. Do you have
just a
final thoughts, hot take or whatever?
My hot take, I like this episode. I like what it does with Garak. I mean, most of what they do with Garak is almost always good. Quark, although I get why Ira Stephen Bear and indeed Michael Piller wasn't keen on this episode, it's done. This is a facet of Quark, whether they like it or not, because it's now on screen, so it's part of the canon.
Indeed.
I quite like it. It's just nice to see a slightly different side to him, and nice to see Shinman give a role in an episode that's not typical of what he usually plays in this series so far.
Slightly more sympathetic playing.
Yeah.
So
almost heroic, which apparently is the problem. But I like it. I think it's very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
all right
definitely.
then. So that was episode 18 of season 2, Profit and Loss. Right. What's next, Tim?
So next week we've got we're on the Doctor Who again, aren't we? We've got episode 7 of the Daleks, and we've got the 2 episodes of The Edge of Destruction to enjoy.
Yes.
So it's going to be a real mixed bag next time.
I'm looking forward to it because, as we know, for viewers, listeners, who actually watch our Doctor Who ones, because I know you may not watch the Doctor Who, you might just watch the DS9 ones. But I've not been too excited about the Daleks. Say the last week anyway. I was a bit like very easily distracted, which says a lot. I was like, yeah, this is just not grabbing me at all. But that happens with Doctor Who sometimes. It happens with anything, doesn't it? But I'm looking forward to the next one because we're moving off the Daleks, thankfully, because that does go on forever. Note to producers: stop making multiple episodes that last for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Get to the damn point.
Cheap that way, though.
But I'm looking forward to the Edge Destruction too. Huh?
As it's cheap. Longer stories are more cost effective.
Oh God, absolutely, I get that, but at least make it good. Keep it going. Don't slouch in the middle, man. But obviously, a bit late now.
It's not their fault if they can't find their way out of the cave system.
Still there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Edge Destruction 2-parter because that does some interesting stuff, and that would have been the end had it been. But anyway, we'll get to that next week.
We will.
So, but the next on DS9.
Yeah, I was going to ask what the next DS9 is going to be.
Well, next DS9, what we're going to do, viewer and listener, is because we're nearing the point where I was going to mention the name, but I don't want to give away for Tim. We're coming up to a crossover event, shall we say, narratively, if not character-wise, although there's a few characters crossing over. What we're going to do next week, we're going to talk about the TNG episode Journey's End, because as anybody who knows DS9 will know how it relates, but Tim will find out. And then we'll be also talking about the next episode of DS9 itself, episode 19, which is Blood Oath.
What? Blood Oath?
Blood Oath.
Ah, Blood Oath. Oh, okay. Oh.
Do you think I said Bledo?
At first, and then I thought, he can't have said that. And then I realised my mind...
He didn't nick that from Star Trek, did he?
My mind just caught up with it. So, Blood Oath.
Whoa.
Right, so that's the DS9
whose episode do you think it's going to be?
Well,
yes.
I don't know. My immediate thought was that sounds like it should be a Klingon episode. But there aren't any Klingons in DS9 yet. I do know that that's not the case forever. But
well, I will tell you this: you are right.
Okay.
It is a Klingon episode.
Oh. All right.
But
so is this where Worf joins the crew?
Think? Oh God, no! He's still on Next Gen. They haven't finished that yet.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, he stays. He presumably he stays with Next Gen until the end. Okay, so
to the end, and then Generation. So he's there for the Enterprise getting blown up.
Right.
So it's one of our core casts that we currently have.
Oh right. Okay. No idea. Kira?
No idea. No. But we could go through them all. So I'll tell you what. You'll find out in 2 weeks.
I'll have to find out in 2 weeks. Yeah, all right. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a good episode. I mean, I'm in two minds because you could have a bit of homework for this one because, again, I don't want to give away, but I expect maybe it's better for you knowing this going in. But the main Klingon characters in this particular episode in 2 weeks' time, because you've got 2 weeks, so maybe, are 3 Klingon characters from 3 original TOS episodes. So it's a fairly big-ish deal for DS9, certainly. Bringing 3 of the original Klingons back. So I don't know. I'm kind of like, do I suggest you watch the episode? I mean, you don't need to watch the episodes because there's nothing that specifically relates to them other than that they're these characters. But I suppose just knowing that they were might just give you that kind of sense of these are often meant to be important. I'm supposed to recognize them, you know, but well, you wouldn't anyway, because obviously the Klingons at this point started to look very different to Klingons back in the 60s, who just looked like because they were meant to be like Mongolians, but
Right.
that went that got changed. But anyway, so yes, so next week, Doctor Who, week after DS9
Blood
/ TNG.
Cool. Journey's
Blood
End and Blood Oath. Lovely stuff. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay, viewers and listeners. One thing else I forgot to mention is going forward. I've recently uploaded onto YouTube the uncut versions of the last 3 videos I think we've done, because the place that I do these things on, I've changed all the things and it's got very niggly and I just don't have that time anymore. I'm like, oh, why did you change it all? I got used to your system. I don't have time for learning new things. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to put the uncut versions everywhere now.
Give it all away for free.
So literally YouTube. Yeah, YouTube, Spotify, Patreon. You can go to whichever one you want. You're going to get the same version. We don't charge on Patreon anyway, so we may occasionally do in the future some special things that we will charge for, but at the moment, the regular episodes, and it's more fun. I say uncut. There may be occasional cuts, because we may go off script, as it were, like we had to today, to discuss something that we didn't want to mention on camera. I mean, we mentioned it later, but once Tim was on the same page, because, it helps. But yeah, so going forward, we'll be on Patreon, YouTube, and Spotify, and maybe somewhere else eventually in the uncut version. So
uncut glory.
That's fun, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, and you may have noticed also, viewers, we have exercised our catch-up section, because the analytics were showing us that people tended to skip that. So,
excised.
As it turns out, we're not as interesting as we thought. Excised. Yeah. Well, it's not excised because we haven't cut it. It's just gone. We expelled it. We've exorcised it.
Exorcised. Yes,
our demonic cat.
Yes. We're not that interesting after all. So just dull.
Apparently not. Our lives just aren't that interesting. So we just have a catch up before we record now instead.
Yes. If there's anything burning that we need to mention to our dear viewer and listener, I'm sure there'll be opportunities for it to come up during the discussion anyway. So.
Oh yeah. Well, this is it, and we've done that today, where we just sort of gone a little tangent onto something that, actually, something interesting happened this week that's kind of related-ish. But yeah, so. But anyway, so that was us this week. Catch you next week. Same time. Well, I say same time, same place. Whenever I get around to uploading at some point on the weekend, because I do try to do it on the weekend because it's easier. But we may alter that in the future, depending on, because we do find, as Tim will definitely confirm, Saturdays for some reason creates technical issues all the freaking time. Don't know why.
Yeah.
But we don't get them on the evening somewhere other days. It is a pain. Unfortunately, I work evenings, so it's hard to try and schedule a period where we actually can both be free. So, tough one. But anyway.
Trials of life.
That's Trials of life. Trials of life. Okay, so until next time then, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Him who? Oh, that's apt. Next episode of DS9 starting in the background, by the way, people. So you just had a little bit of blood.
It started earlier when I was watching it. I was like, no, I don't want to watch that. Turn it off.
Yeah, we don't watch. So you've just seen in the background the teaser for Blood Oath. So Tim better not watch this until next week. Anyway, so as we're saying, goodbye from me, goodbye from him. Until next time, Tim, do you want to do the honours?
Me? Okay, yes. All right then, I will. Bye-bye, Duggan.
Okay. Bye-bye.